If we were standing here talking about marijuana having caused more than 480,000 deaths per year in the United States, including nearly 42,000 deaths from secondhand smoke, if we were talking about that, we wouldn't be talking about legalizing marijuana. If we were talking about marijuana use leading to approximately 88,000 deaths in the United States every year, plus 2.5 million years of potential life lost, responsibility for 1 in 10 deaths among working age adults aged 20 to 64, if those kind of numbers were coming up, we wouldn't be talking about legalizing marijuana. But those numbers are the first number I said, the 480,000, that's alcohol. That's what alcohol does in this country every year. Kills nearly 500,000 people. But we're okay with that. Cigarette smoke, tobacco use, kills 88,000 people a year. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Alcohol use kills 88,000 people a year. Cigarette smoking kills 480,000 people a year. But we're okay with that. That's okay. Marijuana does not kill. As previously stated, there is no lethal dose for marijuana. You would become physically sick before it would possibly happen. Marijuana by itself does not kill. Just like any other lethal combination, prescription pills, alcohol, tobacco by itself, those things in combination can kill. There's a $100,000 reward that's been on the table since the mid-90s, set by Jack Herer, the author of the previously mentioned The Emperor Wears No Clothes, for any proof of death from marijuana. That $100,000 is still on the table. According to reports from the Division of the National Institute of Health, known as the National Institute on Drug Abuse, in 2014, there have been 25,000 deaths from prescription drugs, 18,000 deaths from prescription opioid pain relievers, 8,000 from benzodiazepines, 5,000 from cocaine, and 10,000 from heroin. 0 from marijuana. 0. Marijuana will be described as a gateway drug, but we all know that that's not true. There are no gateway drugs. If, as a child, as an infant, at your mother's breast or receiving formula, at that point you realize that by putting something in your body, you can change how you feel. That's your gateway drug. After that, it just depends on how far you want to take that. Please, please, stop this prohibition. Don't put regular people into the criminal class who just want to relax, who would merely like to sit quietly in their home and not bother anyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Beth Bennett, Robert Block, you're on deck.
Good afternoon, everyone. I support marijuana legalization. I think it's time to regulate marijuana similar to alcohol. Legalization will benefit all Vermonters. It will create jobs that pay livable wages, not to mention all the ancillary services that will benefit contractors, electricians, restaurants, hotels. It's something that the state needs since a lot of the manufacturing jobs are leaving, especially in the southern Vermont portion. I would just ask that if marijuana is legalized, that it is regulated in a fair and sensible manner, and to ensure that the southern portion of the state has the same opportunities as the north. Unlike the current medical marijuana regulation that only allows for 4 dispensaries in the state. It's not enough. We need more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Block, Dick Pembroke, you're on deck.
Thank you for coming down to Bennington. I know it's a long trip for the folks that are up in Montpelier. My daughter's up there, and we make that frequently. So I represent 2 organizations. I'm in the board of directors of the AMA and the Vermont Medical Society. I'm on their committee, and we have discussed this ad nauseum, actually, in both places. This last October at our medical society meeting here in Vermont, we were up in Stowe. We spent a whole day hearing from experts on this topic. And there are there's one major concern, and the major concern has been mentioned, and that's for the young growing brain. All the research has shown that we make all of our brain cells when we're in our very early youth, and then during our 18th to 25th year, the body goes through and rewires all of that because there's a lot of misconnections that occur. And what exposure to cannabis does in any of the tests that have been done, and they include in the U.S., and there's a huge study out of the Netherlands where this has been legal now for, about 20 years now. There's a lot of good research going on there. And MRI scans have shown that this wiring does not occur in the normal way. That's why the prior speakers who've talked about having difficulty with memory and with long-term attention occurs. And the big concern is that if we make the cannabis even more available than it is currently, that we're going to have a whole teenage disaster. And I don't know how that can be regulated. It's certainly been shown in the studies that have been done in Colorado that the teenagers are getting it from the stores, that they're not being carefully monitored. And so that's the major issue. I agree with people who say that, if you're a 35-year-old at home and you wanted to have a smoke, nobody should be busting down your door and taking you off to jail. And our laws right now cover that. Okay, we decriminalized a small amount of marijuana. I think that was reasonable. But we would say that there's an experiment being done right now in Colorado. It's been 3 years. There are issues about an increased driving accident rate. It's not huge. It's not a disaster. But I think we could watch that for a few more years before we make this decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dick Pembroke, Joey Culkin, you're on deck.
For those of you who don't know Dick,
Pembroke. Born in Montpelier, moved here in 1962, was in the legislature from 87 until 2002 on the Transportation Committee. I ask you not to take my comments personally, but please take them seriously. I can't believe we are up to this if you can't fight them, join them attitude. I also don't understand how anyone could become an addict when every day I read from the press, hear on radio, or see on TV multiple folks in trouble after experience that first step. We are hypocritical if we think legalizing marijuana that we are, as taxpayers, will not be paying for the outcomes of their actions, just as we are paying the millions that are in trouble already, even after attempted rehabilitation. We need to be putting our efforts in a detention system that doesn't cost, hopefully it's a wash, to what it's costing us now. Maybe a work camp similar to Maple Leaf for those who want to be rehabilitated and can be released when they are clean with no chance of repeating their old ways. I would like to remind you of statistics that appeared in the Burlington Free Press this past Tuesday. Just in Burlington alone, and I paraphrase, comparing crime in 2015 against the average of 2012 to 2014, Robberies are up 31%, assault 22%, and retail theft 11%. Burlington saw 0 homicides between 2012 and 2014, but 2 men were shot last year, both were drug-related. In 2000, the street value of 100 bags of heroin was 56% higher than in New York last year. That margin ballooned to 225%. Here in Bennington, we experienced 5 burglaries in 2 days. No alcohol-related incidents. And the lead sponsor of the Senate bill asking in a Rutland Herald Saturday, what is the best way to manage marijuana? I ask, why do we want the added aggravation? And comparing it with alcohol and tobacco, there is no comparison. Are we as employees going to have to test every day for use? That is the main reason we can't find good help to work right now. So I ask that you terminate your road trips, go back and give the proposed state budget an enema so that you reverse the trend of increasing the budget from 5% against a 3% revenue source. No more new programs. It seems like every day I'm informed of an agency and administration that is short of funds for what they need to operate. Let's take care of what we are responsible first. And I vote no for marijuana legislation. Thank you.
Joey Culkin, Amos Newton is on deck.
Hello, my name is Joey Culkin. I live in Bennington. I'd like to thank Senator Nitka, Senator Sears, Senator Bennings, Senator Ash, Senator White, all the legislators who have come here to the birthplace of Vermont. I don't want to take too much time, and I understand you said this isn't interactive necessarily with the panel here. I would like to just ask everyone in the audience one question for my own edification to see if I'm right or wrong about something. So if you don't mind, we're an honest society. You don't have to take part in this. Would anyone raise your hand who in the last month has had beer, cigarettes, sugar, or even the harder stuff? Anyone on the panel want to participate? Thank you very much.